Not every BMW is a smart buy. After 20 plus years working on these cars, I've seen the same models roll into my shop over and over with repair bills that make grown men go pale. I'm Mike, and today I'm breaking down the BMW models that cost owners the most money, the ones with failure patterns so expensive they can total the car from the inside out. Let's get into it. Number 7, BMW X5 xDrive 35D E70, the diesel money pit. BMW looked at the American market and thought, you know what this country needs? A diesel X5. Produced from 2009 to 2013, the E70X Drive 35D came with a 3.0-liter twin-turbo inline-six diesel, making 265 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque. Highway fuel economy that made V8 owners jealous, effortless torque for towing. The problem isn't the engine itself, it's everything bolted onto it to keep the EPA happy. The diesel particulate filter, or DPF, clogs regularly, especially on trucks driven around town with short trips. When it clogs, the vehicle goes into limp mode, and you're looking at $2,000 to $4,000. The EGR cooler is another ticking time bomb. When it cracks, coolant leaks into the exhaust system, creating a chain reaction of expensive problems running $3,000 to $5,000. Then there are the injectors. BMW used piezoelectric injectors on these engines, and when one fails, the rest aren't far behind. Most shops will tell you to replace all 6 at once. That's $5,000 to $7,000. And the sequential twin-turbo system wears out over time too, with actuator and vacuum line failures that require pulling the engine or dropping the subframe to fix properly. That's a 15-plus hour labor job, and the bill reflects it. I've seen owners sink $10,000 into one of these in a single year, just trying to keep the emissions system from throwing codes. Buy one with 120,000 miles because the price looks like a steal, and you'll quickly find out the previous owner wasn't being generous. They were getting out while they still could. Number 6, BMW N62 V8, the coolant pipe nightmare. The N62 V8 is one of the most beautifully engineered engines BMW ever built, and one of the most expensive to keep running. Used from 2004 to 2010, this engine powered the E6550i, the E53 and E70X5 4.8i, the E63 650i, and several other models. It's smooth, it's powerful, and it will absolutely empty your bank account if you're not prepared. The signature problem is the coolant transfer pipe, also called the valley pan coolant pipe. It runs through the center of the engine valley underneath the intake manifold. When that pipe or its O-ring seals fail, coolant leaks into the valley and can find its way into the oil or onto the exhaust manifolds. Here's the part that stings. The pipe itself costs about $40. The labor to get to it? That runs $2,500 to $4,000 because the intake manifold, fuel rails, and a mountain of hardware have to come off just to reach it. I've done this job more times than I can count, and the look on an owner's face when they find out a $40 part is costing them $4 grand never gets easier to watch. But the coolant pipe is just the headline. The N62 also eats valve stem seals, causing heavy oil consumption and blue smoke on startup. That's a $3,000 to $5,000 job. Then there's the Valvetronic system, adding complexity that older V8s never had. Eccentric shaft sensors fail, motors wear out, and recalibration adds labor hours every time something gets replaced. Alternator bracket oil leaks, oil filter housing, gasket leaks, valve cover gaskets. The list keeps going. Well-maintained on an N62 means $2,000 to $3,000 a year in preventive upkeep. Skip that and you're not saving money. You're just building a repair bill that'll hit $6,000 to $10,000 the moment everything lets go at once. Number 5, BMW 745i/745Li E65. The flagship that sank owners, BMW put everything they had into the E65-7 series. When it launched in 2002, the 745i and 745Li were the most advanced sedans money could buy. a flagship built to embarrass Mercedes and Lexus. Produced through 2005, it was also the car that taught BMW a painful lesson. Just because you can computerize everything doesn't mean you should. The first generation iDrive was frustrating and slow, but that was the least of it. The E65 uses a network of modules communicating over a fiber optic bus system called MOST. When modules fail or the connections degrade, the car develops electrical gremlins that seem almost supernatural. Windows roll down on their own. The climate control blows hot on one side and cold on the other. The transmission gets confused about which gear it should be in. It's like the car is possessed, except an exorcism would be cheaper than the repair bill. Diagnosing these problems requires dealer-level software and a technician who genuinely understands network topology. I've seen shops burn through 10 or more hours just trying to find the faulty module. At $150 to $200 per hour, that's up to $2,000 in diagnostic time before a single part gets replaced. The N62 V8 under the hood carries all the same problems we just covered. But the E65 piles on active roll stabilization that leaks at $2,000 to $3,000 to rebuild, soft closed door motors that burn out at $600 to $900 per door, and comfort access that fails and locks you out of your own car. There's nothing quite like standing in a parking lot, staring at a $70,000 sedan that won't let you in. You can buy an E65 745 Li today for $5,000 to $8,000. It looks like the deal of a lifetime until you realize the previous owner sold it because the repair estimate sitting on their kitchen counter was $12,000. These cars are genuinely impressive when everything works. The problem is that everything working simultaneously is a temporary condition. If this is helping you avoid a costly mistake, hit that like button and subscribe for more weekly BMW content. Now let's keep going. Number 4, BMW N20 engine. The timing chain. Time bomb. The N20 was BMW's turbocharged 2.0-liter, 4-cylinder workhorse, installed in everything from the F3328i to the F25X3 to the F10528i. Produced from 2012 to 2017, it made 240 horsepower, returned decent fuel economy, and had a design flaw hiding inside it that could destroy the engine without warning. The timing chain and timing chain guide on early production N20 engines, particularly those built between 2012 and 2015, are prone to premature wear and failure. When the plastic timing chain guide breaks apart, the chain jumps timing and the engine suffers catastrophic internal damage. Pistons meet valves, and what could have been a $3,000 timing chain job becomes an $8,000 plus engine replacement. The frightening part is how suddenly it happens. Owners report driving normally, hearing a brief rattle, and then the engine shuts down. No warning light, no gradual loss of power, just done. BMW issued a service bulletin and eventually extended coverage on the timing chain components, but only for specific production date ranges, leaving plenty of owners just outside the window with no help and a dead engine. Beyond the timing chain, the N20 has a habit of leaking oil in places you really don't want oil. The oil filter housing gasket leaks onto the serpentine belt. The valve cover gasket leaks onto the exhaust manifold. Both of these are genuine fire hazards, not theoretical risks. I've seen engine bays with oil pooled on hot exhaust components, and it's the kind of thing that keeps you up at night as a mechanic. The Vanos solenoids can fail, causing rough running and reduced power, and the electric water pump, a common BMW weak point, tends to give up around 80,000 miles for $800 to $1,200. But none of that compares to the timing chain. That's the one that turns a $15,000 used BMW into a $5,000 paperweight overnight. If you're buying any car with the N20, check whether the timing chain components have been updated first. If they haven't, budget for it immediately. Number 3, BMW N63 V8, the hot V horror. If there's one engine that BMW wishes they could go back and redo from scratch, it's the N63. Found in the 550i, 650i, 750i, and X550i from 2009 to 2016, This was BMW's first hot V twin-turbo V8. That means the turbochargers sit inside the engine valley between the cylinder banks instead of on the outside. The idea was to reduce turbo lag and improve packaging. The result was like putting a furnace inside an oven. Everything in that valley cooks. The heat destroys this engine from the inside out. Valve stem seals fail prematurely, leading to oil consumption that's staggering. We're talking a quart every 500 to 750 miles in some cases. BMW's own internal guidance considered up to 1 quart per 750 miles acceptable. Let that sink in. The manufacturer looked at those numbers and said, "That's fine." That should tell you everything about what they knew was coming. The turbo oil lines carbonize from the constant heat, restricting oil flow to the turbochargers. The injectors fail from heat soaking. Coolant hoses and connections buried deep in the valley bake, crack, and leak. Every component in that engine valley is living on borrowed time because BMW prioritized clever packaging over longevity. When BMW launched their customer care package for early N63 engines, they tried to frame it as goodwill. In reality, it was a recall in everything but name. The package included replacement injectors, updated turbo oil lines, new valve stem seals, and revised software. Even after all of that, many owners still deal with excessive oil consumption and related failures. BMW essentially admitted the engine had serious design problems, fixed some of them, and hoped nobody would keep asking questions. The later N63TU and N63TU2 versions addressed some of the worst issues, but the original N63 from 2009 to roughly 2013 remains the one to avoid. Turbo replacement runs $4,000 to $6,000 per side because accessing them requires significant disassembly. A full valve stem seal job is another $4,000 to $6,000. Those numbers add up fast on an engine with this many known weak points. Buy a 2011 550i with 90,000 miles for $12,000 and it feels like a steal. Then expect to spend $8,000 to $15,000 in the first 2 years just trying to keep ahead of the N63's problems. I've watched owners pour more into these engines than the car is worth, chasing one fix after another, and the problems just keep coming. Number 2, BMW plug-in hybrids. The double powertrain trap. Most cars give you one powertrain to worry about. BMW's early plug-in hybrids give you two, and neither one is cheap when it breaks. From 2016 to 2020, the X5 xDrive 40e, 530e, and 740e promise the best of both worlds. Electric driving for short commutes, gasoline power for longer trips. What buyers actually got was double the complexity, double the maintenance, and double the repair bills. The high-voltage battery is the big one. These packs degrade over time, especially in hot climates or when the vehicle sits without being plugged in regularly. When the battery needs replacing, you're looking at $8,000 to $15,000 depending on the model. And good luck finding an independent shop to do it. Most won't touch high-voltage BMW systems because the training and equipment required to work on them safely costs a fortune. That means you're often stuck at the dealer, paying dealer rates. The charging system fails with frustrating regularity too. When the onboard charger module goes, the vehicle can't charge from an external source, which defeats the entire point of owning a plug-in hybrid. That repair runs $2,000 to $4,000. Meanwhile, the 2.0-liter four-cylinder still needs everything a normal BMW needs: oil changes, coolant flushes, spark plugs, direct injection cleaning. You didn't eliminate gas engine maintenance, you just added an electric powertrain on top of it. The transmission is where things get especially painful. It integrates the electric motor directly, so any transmission work involves high-voltage components that require specialized handling. A transmission repair that might cost $3,000 on a regular BMW can run $6,000 to $8,000 on the hybrid. I've had owners bring these in expecting a standard repair quote and go white when they see the actual number. Even insurance companies have caught on. Collision repairs on these vehicles are significantly more expensive because of the battery pack location and the safety protocols around high-voltage systems. A fender bender that costs $3,000 on a regular X5 can run $8,000 or more on the 40E if the battery compartment needs inspection. That's why these things depreciate like they're radioactive. A 2018 X540E that sold for $65,000 new is going for $20,000 to $25,000 today. Sounds like a bargain until you realize the battery pack alone could cost you half of what you paid for the car. Number 1. Any used BMW with no service records. The ultimate black hole. We've talked about specific engines, specific models, specific failures, but the number 1 spot doesn't belong to any single car. It belongs to a decision, and it's the most expensive mistake I've seen people make in over 20 years of working on BMWs. Buying any used BMW without verified service records. It doesn't matter if it's a 3 Series, a 5 Series, or an X5. It doesn't matter if it looks clean, drives smooth, and the seller swears it was well taken care of. Without records, you're flying blind into a minefield. BMWs are precision-engineered machines that demand consistent maintenance. Oil changes, coolant flushes, transmission fluid services that BMW calls lifetime, but absolutely are not. Every one of those matters. When a seller can't produce records, they're telling you everything you need to know. Either the maintenance wasn't done, or it was done so badly they don't want you to see the receipts. That $18,000 F3335 assures with no records. It probably needs $6,000 in deferred maintenance. A transmission fluid change that's 30,000 miles overdue. Coolant that's never been flushed. Brake fluid that's absorbed so much moisture it's corroding the ABS module from the inside. That $22,000 F15 X5 the seller says just needs a little work? The little work is a $4,000 coolant leak repair, a $2,500 oil leak repair, and a transfer case making noise because nobody changed the fluid in 80,000 miles. Every BMW has a maintenance schedule, and every item on it exists for a reason. Skip oil changes, and you get VANOS issues in timing chain wear. Ignore coolant flushes, and you're looking at water pump failures and head gasket problems. Neglect the transmission, and you'll get harsh shifting, followed by premature failure. It's all connected, and it all catches up eventually. Here's the bottom line. A maintained BMW is one of the best driving experiences you can buy. A neglected BMW is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. The service records are the single most important thing to ask for when buying used. If the seller doesn't have them, walk away. No exceptions. That bargain price won't feel like a bargain 6 months from now when the deferred maintenance lands on your doorstep all at once. That's the list. 7 models and 1 golden rule that could save you thousands if you're smart about it. The takeaway is simple. BMWs reward owners who do their homework and punish the ones who don't. Know what you're buying, know what it costs to maintain, and never skip the service records. If this video saved you from making an expensive mistake, hit that subscribe button. We put out new BMW content every week, and the next video on your screen might be the one that saves you even more. I'm Mike. Stay smart out there.